is Mr. Larry Romany. He's Mr. Everything. You wouldn't want me to say a couple things, but I will have it to say it anyhow. He's the president of the Trinidad Tobago Olympic Committee, and I know you're aspiring Olympians. He has been the president for the past 8 years. He's the chairman of the Trinidad Tobago Pro League. He's a former national coach, and I know he has been in the cycling fraternity for many, many years. He has served on many sporting commissions over the years, and he's a member of the regional bodies, I know, in various aspects of sports and administration. Let's welcome our guest speaker for today, Mr. Larry Romany. You can do better than that. Come on.
Good morning, everybody. President of the Harvard Club, Brigadier Carl Alfonso. Chairman of the Football Clinic, Mr. Louis Charles. Sponsor from Milo, Ms. Stacey Ann Charles. Head coach, Mr. Winston Phillip. Members of the Harvard Clinic, young athletes, coaches, parents, those at the bar, those in the back. It is really a pleasure for me to be here today to speak to you all a little bit about what the Olympic Committee thinks is important and try to marry those things with what you are doing. And I always come to speeches like this with a prepared text in one direction, and after having seen what went on, just throw it away and come up with something totally different. We have about 5 different groups in this room today, which makes my job in terms of communicating with you very, very challenging. So we're going to start off with the young kids. All of you young kids who are interested, who love football and who have a passion for football, the main thing that you have to understand is that you have to have fun. Fun is the number one thing. When you play football, you must feel happy about playing football. If you want to be very good at football, learn to juggle. Learn to juggle. Keep a ball with you all the time and just learn to juggle. That is very important. You and the ball must become one. It's an important aspect of the game. Football is nothing without the ball, and it's nothing without you. So the guys who are teenagers, I know that all of you can play for the national team. All of you. But there are 2 aspects to the game that you need to understand. One is the physical aspect of the game. One is the skill aspect of the game, the technical aspect of the game. You would make your coaches' lives very easy if you came to training with the physical aspect of the game sorted out. Which means that you come fit, you come strong, you come fast, and you come powerful. You need to learn about those things. How do you get fast? How do you get strong? How do you get powerful? So that when they teach you the skill and the technical capabilities that you need to understand, you will be able to execute it the best that you can. Earlier today I saw Larry Mendez, the coach of the rugby 7, the rugby team in Harvard. And I want to congratulate Harvard today because they won the National Rugby 7s tournament yesterday. And that was no easy feat. But one thing, if you ask anybody in the club or anybody who plays rugby in the rugby fraternity why they won, they will tell you that they are the fittest team. Fitness means everything in sport. Fitness means everything in football. As a matter of fact, in the English Premiership and in the Spanish League, coaches go for fitness first or athleticism first before they select skill. So that you need to understand that. And if you can understand that, you will be the best player that you could be. To the coaches, You have the most important job in the world, outside of the parents, who I will deal with last. You need to be father, mother, brother, sister, listener. If you are neither of those things, you need to leave the job. This is something I say to everybody when I start teaching a class. You need to understand that you must not make the error of trying to say when a child is talented before they go through puberty. Do not do talent identification on a child that has not gone through puberty. Purely because of the difference in growth rates, you will not be able to tell what is actually happening in the growth of the child. Allow the child to have fun, because the greatest problem we have in sport is the retention of good players. If very early on, teaching these young kids to play football becomes boring or becomes too technical, they're going to lose interest and drop out of the game. Your highest retention rates is going to happen when the kids have fun. So that you need to ensure that the formative years in their lives are when they have fun. After that, when they go through puberty, you can start looking at them for skill, technique, tactic, and looking for their talent. Talent is really something that you can nurture. It's something that you need to understand, and they need to have fun if they are going to carry it through to the end. To the parents, you know, when people ask me why we don't do well in sport in Trinidad, I say it's because of the parents. And it might sound harsh, and it might not be applicable to every parent. But listen to this. Most parents are very interested only in seeing their child do well at school, in seeing their child do well in the cognitive area of learning. And I want to give you a few facts. A child learns in three main ways. As a matter of fact, every single thing that needs to be learned in terms of emotion and in terms of physical movement can only be learned in the first 10 years of a child's life, pre-puberty. There are three intelligences in the brain: emotional intelligence, psychomotor intelligence, and cognitive intelligence. When you focus primarily on cognitive intelligence and you don't pay attention to emotional intelligence and physical literacy, you take away a lot from the child's ability to learn. As a matter of fact, if a child crosses 9 years old and they are overweight, the chances for success intellectually in life reduces to just 80%. These are numbers that are actually out there. So you need to encourage your children to participate in some form of exercise. It's not about competition, it's about participation. And you need to encourage them. You need for them to develop those three areas of their brain. Because after they cross puberty, the synapses that allow them to learn stop. So that you need to ensure that they enjoy this time of their lives. To the club. We talk about sport for development, and that was one of the things they asked me to talk about today, sport for development and the development of sport. My first experience with being passionate about sport actually occurred in this club in 1966 and 1967 when I did cricket clinic for 2 years. Things were pretty much the same. And that is where I developed my passion for cricket, which was my first love in sport, which had a direct impact in how I viewed sport in the future. And it all came about because of the coaches that I had experience with. And this is where the experience of a coach with a child and how the parent treats with that experience is critical in the own development of the child. Sport is not about sport and about playing sport. Sport is what you see here today. Socialization. The reason why we don't do well in sport in Trinidad again, and we keep comparing it to the 50s and the 60s, was in those days we had social clubs. We had multi-sport clubs like Harvard, where people got together for socialization, but they played sport. And that's a very important thing. Using sport as a development tool cannot be done through competition, cannot be done through high prize money. Its true accomplishment is only in the social component, where people are allowed to interact with one another. I will tell every parent here today that if you got a video of today and you looked at it 30 years from now and you saw the joy on your child's face, you would not even be able to describe, and they would not be able to describe what it felt like. The point is that they are very, very fortunate, and we are all very fortunate that we have clubs like Harvard to be able to give the experience and this level of social interaction that one can mix with the other, whether it is demographic, ethnic, gender, religion, or race. Because our society has become split along all those lines, something called ethnic fracturalization. We have split among many lines, and once you split among many lines, you get all sorts of agendas. But the nice things in clubs like this is that when you get together as members of Harvard. And that you teach one another a value system, you teach one another what is important to you, what is important socially, and that is the key. If we want to solve the problems of our youth in this country, we need to pay attention to nurturing our children and to teaching them how to socially interact with others. And this is really the format for that. And I want to applaud the club for the great job that they have done. 36 years is no mean feat. And 50 years in existence, again, is no mean feat. And they're here longer than that. But I'm 55. And I came here when I was about 7 and 8. I think it's 7 and 8. So, I want to urge parents to rethink their concept about private lessons and moving from school into lessons into home and doing more lessons. And to give their children the time to explore the brain on all fronts. Because if you don't do that, you're not going to create a balanced child. And balance is what it's all about. I have no doubt that this club is going to do very well in sport. But more than that, I have no doubt that it will produce some of the greatest members of the society in Trinidad and Tobago in the future, given the interaction that they currently have and the way that the interaction is done. I want to thank the parents for allowing their kids to come out on a Sunday. I know many times it also works as a babysitting scenario, but I know that most parents are really interested in their kids having fun. You know, before I finish, you know, there are a couple of things that always occur to me. When we do programs with young kids, they complain bitterly that they're no longer allowed to dream. You go in school and you dream, you get put out. You get ostracized for dreaming. You get ostracized for any sort of physical activity in school. If you come in class sweaty, you have to go outside and cool off. Albert Einstein once said that imagination is more important than knowledge. And that if you want a really intelligent child, you need to read them fairy tales. And if you want the most intelligent child you can have, you need to read them more fairy tales. Participation in sport allows our kids to dream. To dream about things that they would like to be, that they see themselves. There is nothing great that has been created on planet Earth that did not start off with a dream. Here you have a fertile ground to create dreams and to allow young people to dream. Use that ground. Allow them to participate, but most of all, ensure that they're having fun. And if they tell you they're not having fun, go straight to the coaches and ask them, why is my child not having fun? Because it is not about playing sport. Playing sport is secondary. You think Kishon Walcott went out to win the gold medal? That was not his aim. You think Richard Thompson went out to win? That was not his aim. An athlete's aim, when they are properly trained, is to do the best that they can do on that day and have the passion and understanding that they will enjoy and that they could combine mind, body and spirit to be the best that they could be. That is what you should want for your child. And the only way that is going to happen is if the child is educated in mind, body and spirit, in the emotive, in the cognitive and the psychomotor. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Olympic Committee, I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a bright and prosperous New Year and all success to happen. Thank you.